The reason they're out today is I had this idea I wanted to try, and I stopped at a Walmart earlier, and I picked up a couple things to play with. So I got some little Arkansas tomatoes. Are called candy, but they're, you know, just whatever. And this size package was $1.50 because we're experimenting. A single bell pepper and some mushrooms. Now, what are we going to do with those? What I also got, adjust the camera where I can move it a little, was, oops, yeah. Alright, way too much adjustment where I'm trying to see what I'm doing. This is a package of furnace filters, right about $3. And they're 20 by 25 inches, and there's 4 of them for $3. So I'll show you how we're going to utilize that in a minute. Get the camera reset on my plate. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is open my furnace filters. Take a couple out. Have them standing by. And I guess for the fun of it, I'll go ahead and grab my neck knife. You've seen it, and you've seen me wear it. You saw it in the Bushcrafting on a Buck video. You want a knife that's fairly sharp. All right. This one won't be the best for this because the blade is single ground. Let me grab one that is a double grind knife. Okay, I know what I'm gonna do. This is I think I found at Walmart, and this was their full tang stainless steel knives, $3 for the set for 3. I have a project coming up where we're going to do some 3-day, 2-night thing, and Sean, Jeff, and I are each going to have a limit of $25 a piece, and for that we're going to buy everything we're going to take for this trip. Okay, so I'll do a quick little review on these knives. Now, they are stainless steel. They're very hot. They've been in the sun. It's over 100 degrees right now, and we're not at noon yet. But they are flexible. Though when I do that, I can feel this plastic handle flex a little bit. But for bushcrafting on a buck, it's a place we could start. Could make a sheath for this. This would be a pretty hefty knife to carry. This one would be good for some things, but for the survival, that would be one. And then for light tasks, this one. So let's see how this knife works before I grab out one of my other ones. Yeah. And it's easy to control the way it cuts because it's not, like I say, the other one is a single grind and it wants to go a certain direction only. Alright, so I'm cutting these in various thicknesses. What I should do is just cut them a consistent thickness. So that's what I'm going to start doing. Now, when I work food service, there's a couple of terms. There was GIGO and FIFO. And FIFO was first in, first out, and it was about rotating your stock so that you always had fresh materials that you were using. GIGO was good in, good out. You know, if you start cooking with fresh and good quality, you're going to end up with, or have a really good chance at ending up with a good quality product. If you start with garbage, you're going to end up with garbage. So good in, good out, or garbage in, garbage out. So, okay. And I'm going to set these over here to the side. These I'll probably plan on throwing away. I'll do more of these later. Just want to do a few on camera right now. All right, a bell pepper. You figure that these are fixed blade knives, and I'm getting 3 knives for $3, so pretty impressive price. I actually took a picture of it when I found it because I was going to use that for a Bushcrafting on a Buck video, and I'm sure I will still use all this, but I'm going to go ahead and include it now. Now what, this is a good way to help prepare things for lunch. The mushrooms, we don't really wash fresh mushrooms, but we do dust them off. So I'm going to take and dust the cap of my mushroom. And cut the end off that stem. I have an onion and I thought about doing it, but I'll explain in a minute why I'm not using the onion right now. If you didn't see that, that was a horsefly that buzzed in and out. I haven't sprayed anything and don't want to because I'm playing with fresh food. But if he keeps coming around, I may be forced to. And I would cut this one to a quick end. Now I will have to sharpen this knife again. You can hear it hitting the glass plate. Alright, so what am I doing with all this stuff that we just showed you? Well, let me wipe my neck knife down, put that away. I'll set this under the here on this bench under the camera for a minute. Here we have those furnace filters. There's 2 here. So this is sort of an idea I got from Alton Brown. And I'm spreading my veggies out. And what I'm trying to do is I want to spread them so that they don't touch each other. You know, they're not laying one atop another. Doing that would help trap moisture. And when I start speaking about trapping moisture, some of you may be able to already be guessing that I'm thinking about dehydration. Well, we have a bit of a drought going on here in the Midwest. And incredible heat. So, got to thinking it cuts down on some people getting time out in the woods, but it doesn't have to stop us from practicing bushcrafting. And bushcrafting has to do with, well, Dave Canterbury likes to use the military thing. Improvise, adapt, and overcome, and that's what we're going with here. Is we are improvising, we're adapting things to our need, and we are overcoming, to make things work for us. Okay. And I've got all these done. What's left are the stem ends of the tomatoes I didn't really want to put in there, and the ends off the mushrooms I cut. Now I'll go back later and rework this, I'm sure. Let me set that to the side. No, actually, there's something I want to do with that first. I have some duct tape here that stays in my pack. And if you don't know, duct tape uses a rubber for the adhesive, which is why it makes a good fire extender. All right, so I'm going to put some duct tape right here on the edge, and get the camera where it shows, and then I'm going to bend over and flatten that down. Probably should have done this earlier. And I'm going to apply it to this side and this side both. What I'm doing is I'm stretching my duct tape, measuring to get a feel for the side of the furnace filter here on this inside edge. And I'm going to flatten it down, and then fold it over, flatten it down again. And I'll explain the reason behind this in a moment. Also, I got these because they're very inexpensive. There are some furnace filters that you can get that are not a lot more, but the cardboard would be much stiffer. And while I know that, it didn't occur to me at the time. So I'm still happy with my bushcraft project, but if I did it now with what knowledge I'm gaining, instead of getting the absolutely least expensive furnace filters, I'd probably go for something just a little more expensive that would give me more rigidity. What I'm probably going to do here in a little bit is I'm probably going to find a couple of twigs that'll go under this. But right now what I want to do is I want to respread this because I bounced it around, and I put it pretty concentrated a minute ago since I had it where I was filming with everything in the same location. Once I get this spread where I'm happy with it, we'll go to the next step. Now, this project could be done in my backyard, or at my campsite, or any place like that. So, I've got the fiberglass side touching. So, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start back on this side. And put a little bit of duct tape and made it to this one and connect. I'm doing this section in two sections because I don't want to have structural collapse when I'm trying to do the whole thing. If I do it in a little bit at a time, I think I can make it hold better. Now what I just did was create a hinge, and there is no duct tape on that side, previously. So when I put some duct tape here, it'll adhere very well to the paper, but it'll be easier to remove it from itself. You know, duct tape off of duct tape. That was the reason for the first bit of duct tape, was to allow me to have an easier time opening this up later. Okay. Now, this might seem a little long at the top, but remember, these taper, so quick touchdown, and my solar dehydrator is getting in pretty good shape. Yes, I could put meats in here if I get a chance to get into the bush tonight. I will be using the other ones for precisely that. I'm trying to be available for Sean and for our friend Jeff. Not the Jeff you know, but another Jeff. Yeah, there. Now it's 100-degree day. Flies are out like mad. But my solar dehydrator has airflow ability. If I put it up over something, it'll keep it. I could have flipped this and had the cardboard against the stuff, and had I used a different type of air filter, I probably would have. And that would have allowed me to compress it. I could have stood this up, which is the thing I say. I got this idea from Alton Brown, and it's one of the things he did. Now, it's far more rigid. It has better rigidity. I'm going to go set this aside for now. We'll come back to it in a little bit, and then we'll get to the next part of what we're going to do. So the other day, we were out here with this, and we were setting it up. The idea that we would untape it today. Okay, well, get these away. I'll just cut through the seam. Multiple levels of tape, multiple layers, will certainly not have a negative effect. Actually make it easier to get into next time. So, but you can see after drying a day, we have some dehydrated mushrooms and tomatoes. These are just, you know, beautiful things. And the bell peppers, dehydrated as well, they're now these little, almost hair-like things. I'll start on a bell pepper. Now, on the bell pepper, this little membrane here where the seed's attached, I don't need that. Any of these that, if I feel they're too long, when they're dried, I can always break them, they'll snap. I will probably use a different filter, or I'll use some of that netting that I've got to put on here, and I'll dry probably, I don't know, in a day or two. I'm probably gonna put a little bit of steak or something on there, and I'm gonna dehydrate some meat. So I will make some jerky. Now, the first stuff, yeah, I'll probably go ahead and put a little flavor. We would smoke it, not for preserving it, other than to keep the bugs off during the time that it's drying. Well, this will keep the bugs off. So I don't have to use any kind of a smoker or smoke. And I have done some similar things using window screen in the past for sun drying beef and making some jerky. The problem with that is, yes, it makes good jerky. But boy, you talk about needing flavoring. It's pretty, what's the way I want to put this? As delicately as I can. It's tough to eat. It's very painfully bland. So there's some more bell pepper. I'll put that back in its bag. Gotta stuff some more of these portobellos. Now these things looked gorgeous when they were dried. The bell pepper will take probably the longest of the three that I've got on here. So again, I'm doing bell pepper, little grape type tomatoes, and I'm doing the mushrooms here, the portobellos. Another day or two, I will set this up. I've got, remember, it's a pack of 4, so it gives me 2 of these dehydration units. Right now I'm only using 1, but I'll set the other one up. I'm supposed to do some stuff with Sean and Jeff in a couple days, because waiting for this temperature to break. It didn't keep me from doing the overnighter, though. As far as the overnighter went, it was a pretty uneventful thing, other than it dropped down to 80 for a low, and I didn't take my flashlight with me, so I couldn't really film overnight to where you could see anything. Did want to say that in one of the dollar stores the other day, I found some pick mosquito coils, and I was able to set on my little bush grill that I have. I had it set down under the cover, the rainfly, on the ground, but I was about to set a fire down there overnight when it was, first off, as warm as it is, and secondly, if I wasn't going to be right there with it, because I don't need it any warmer than it was being, and if anything went amiss and I was asleep, I don't want to start a forest fire in the super dry conditions. I get work again tomorrow, and they're calling for rain tonight, though boy, right now doesn't feel like it. Maybe on Monday, but we really need the rain. We really need it to cool down. This last portobello, which is a nice looking one, I should slice up and put on my drying rack. But I'm probably going to take that one home, and some of that bell pepper, and a little bit of onion, and I'm probably going to saute them all together because that sounds very, very tasty to me. So I think I'm going to have a pretty flavorful snack tonight in a meal. These are those delicious Arkansas candy tomatoes. Now, if you remember, the one thing that I'm not necessarily the most favorite of is that stem end. I'll cut those off, and I will cut these into little rings. Just for the fun of it, I'm going to slice this one lengthwise just to compare what I think of the results. I think these are going to dry very poorly, but you have to do experiments all the time. You have to learn, and I can research, and sometimes it's more fun to learn by doing. So I'm going to just cut the end off this one. Wow. Very fun tomato flavor. They're a really good size. They have spectacular flavor. They're very sweet though. I guess that's probably why they're called candy, but I think that when they get put into my trail food, that they'll be an excellent flavor. And you notice there is no salt being added, nothing added to these except their own goodness. When these tomatoes are dry, I can take them and put them in a jar with olive oil. You would have sun-dried tomatoes that you could use for all kinds of things. And you know how fresh it is because you did it yourself. This one's pretty ripe. Just wanted to squish just with my hands holding it. So my veggies are here. And tomorrow These will be dried. Hopefully. I mean, I've got a lot more. I'm supposed to have rain. This temperature's supposed to cool. So instead of 100 degrees, we're only going to have 90. But I'll keep an eye. If it takes 2 days, it takes 2 days. And then I will start my food, my trail mix stuff. Yeah, that is a pretty nice looking dehydration rack, isn't it? I'll show you what we end up with. And I'll take some of this and reconstitute it for you as well, because I think that's a part that would be a necessity. I say this idea came from something that Alton Brown did on Good Eats, where he showed you how to use furnace filters in a box fan to make your own dehydrator. Well, we've been having such heat, it's hard to do a lot of much in the wilderness. This allows me to bushcraft. So the heat's not just going to keep me down, the heat's going to give me something that I can use. I can make solar oven, which probably should have done. I've got the stuff, I just didn't take the time to set it up. And which I'll do here in a couple days. It's going to get warm again anyway. Get away, mosquito. I'll fix you the way I fixed that tick the other day. I was shooting a video, trying to light a fire. You may have seen me, and a tick ended up on my wrist. I tried to shake it off, it didn't go. I tried to brush it off, it didn't go. Had it let go and gone away, it would have been there to annoy some other woodland creature. But since it wouldn't let me go, I gave it a demonstration in fire making. I let it share with me in my starting a fire. If you haven't seen that one, I hope you do. I needed a good tinder and I needed a flash tinder. What I chose to use were the flower heads, the dried flower heads from thistles. It worked very well. I had no doubt that it would work. It just caught better than I expected. So, really happy with the results. I'm having so much fun filling this tray. And I may go back and cut up stuff I said I was going to take home and play with. Just because I've got room, you know? The other night in the woods, by the way, with no fire, got to listen to the animals. Now I do this stuff all the time, and you hear all the sounds of nighttime, all the sounds of nature, and it's a wonderful, wonderful symphony that they create. And if you've never done an overnighter like that, just you in the wilderness, I strongly, strongly advise you to do this, and you will enjoy the sounds. The tree frogs were very active and singing most of the night. I mean, when it gets late enough, they do quit. We had, when my camera had died and I didn't have battery, I would have shown you some footage of filming or fishing as well. But the cicadas were doing a lot of singing. I don't have that on film, and I kind of wish I did. I won't be out tonight because, well, you know, tomorrow's Monday, and Monday means work. Because it's not vacation time. Making these really, really fat, because I think it's going to take enough time to dry the peppers and the tomatoes. So. You can hear a couple seeds have fallen. We're supposed to, Sean, Jeff, and myself, get out here. Go away, mosquito. And on Wednesday, so not too many more days. We will play with this. They'll have the chance to see the reveal. I may hold it off till then. That is, if I think that they're going to make it. Sometimes, you know, I have a bigger interest in bushcrafting and all more than they do. And I just have to remember that. Sean's my son, and for the most part, Jeff's my son. Years ago, Jeff was spent a lot of time with me, and I told his father, you know, when he's with me, I'll raise him as he was my son. So I get a chance to have it. Now Jeff is my friend too, just like Sean's my son, but Sean's my friend. We do things together. Okay. As you can see, I went ahead and sliced all this up. Yeah, I'll stick this somewhere, I don't know where. I'll tape this in a moment. You can see in here the mushrooms, tomatoes, and the bell peppers. We have dried tomatoes, dried mushrooms, and dried bell pepper. So. Well, here on this table I got some ants that want to come visit. We get beautiful, beautiful produce this way. And we dry it, There's no preservatives added. And, you know, we have beautiful mushrooms and beautiful tomatoes and beautiful peppers for the future. Now, as I say, this idea was one I got from channel Good Eats from Alton Brown, and he was putting this on a box fan. So right now I'm outdoors, I can play with it outside, but in your house, put it on a box fan, 16 hours, something like that, you have, you know, dehydrated foods.